Hi, I changed my mind about evil. I was wrong, and I'm going to tell you why. Oh, and this won't be a comedy video. I'm sorry. But I think it's more important than that. I used to think evil was just some abstract concept, mostly an exaggerated word, but I changed my mind. Now I think evil is very real. I think the presence of Satan in our world acting through corrupt humans is clear as day. And I think the past 2 years have made that incredibly clear. In fact, with what's going on in our world, I firmly believe it's spiritual warfare. Now, as dark as the evil is, I think there's absolutely something you and I can both do about it. And to be honest with you, I think that good has a much better shot at winning than evil does. And in this video, I'll tell you why I think that, and also share with you at the end of the video 5 things that you can do to ensure evil is defeated and that good wins. But first,
stopping it there, and welcome to Mika Reacts Reviews. We react to reviews to things on the internet. And today we're returning with Awaken with JP, and he is talking about how he's changed his mind about evil. I don't really understand how anybody ever thought that evil didn't exist unless you've been living under a rock or your head's been stuck in the sand, because evil definitely exists. And I don't think that's just been apparent in the last 2 years. Again, if you've been paying attention, it's been apparent since mankind has existed. Now, do I think evil exists because the devil is sort of possessing people and puppeteering them? No. I think evil people who do evil things are completely and 100% accountable for the evil things that they do. I don't think that the devil is making them or controlling them to do anything. However, I do believe in demons. I believe in dark entities. I believe that, you know, things can be whispered to you, you can be influenced, you can be programmed, you can be indoctrinated, you can be brainwashed. People can be brought into your life to entice you to do things. But each individual that's been brought into your life to entice you, to influence you, to program you, all those things, they still too have their individual freedoms and choices to allow that to influence them, to influence you, if that makes any sense. God gave us dominion over the devil. God gave us dominion over evil. So you have full 100% control and responsibility and the shit that you do, or the shit you allow to affect your mental state, to affect your heart, your mind, your soul. You are allowing that to happen. But I do believe we are in a spiritual warfare. But honestly, if I had to talk about all this video will be hours long, because I tend to just have a more complicated, nuanced, and layered opinion about these things. But anyway, let's get back into it. But before you do, if you like this type of videos, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to get the notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, you can donate. My PayPal me link is in the description box below, and also in the comment section. Of course it helps, but you don't have to. You can just like, comment, and subscribe. Another great way to support the channel is to join my brand new membership program. Different levels, different tiers, different perks. Or you can visit my brand new merch shop. Links down below. And if you like, you can super thanks. Other than that, sit back, relax, and continue to enjoy the video. Alright, here we go.
I think there's 2 types of people in this world. Those who see evil and those who are blind to it. And those who can see it can rise above it because they can see what they need to rise above. But those who can't see evil are not only more susceptible to being controlled by it, they probably will be without knowing it. That's why I decided to make this video, to help wake people up so they're not tricked into living in the dark nightmare of evil. Because evil doesn't look the way you'd expect it to. In our world, evil doesn't look evil, so you have to know how to spot it. More on that in a minute. Oh, and quick disclaimer before we go on. As I talk to you about good and evil, God versus Satan, I'm not a biblical scholar. My credentials in speaking on the topic are I'm a delusional redhead speaking to you based on my own free thought that I'm expressing through freedom of speech. Shall we go on? Great. Let me define evil for you. Evil, from my point of view, is anyone trying to control someone else in a way that's not in their best interest. Satan is all about control, and God is all about freedom. That's why God gives you free will, And Satan tries to get you to consent to enslavement. Now, with that working definition of evil, I know it's really hard to find evil people trying to control people in a way that's not in their best interest in our world today. Isn't it? Inject this into your body or you'll lose your job. Great, thank you for doing that. Now inject another one or you'll still lose your job. Stay home and don't see your friends and family. You better comply. Go ahead, little Johnny. Cut your junk off. It'll be good for you. You'll own nothing and be happy about it. How about a social credit score that determines what we allow you to do? Yeah, hard to spot any examples, but just use your imagination if you have to.
I agree with him to a certain extent. First of all, you have to recognize evil or realize evil exists so you don't get fooled by it. But I disagree with the whole there's two types of people in the world. There's people who see the evil and people who don't see the evil. I think there's a lot of people who see it and just don't want to deal with it, or just put their head down and don't do anything about it, or just content with it. If I just don't rock the boat and I stay in my little bubble, it's fine, right? I don't think that everyone's that blind to it. I just think a lot of people are like, what am I supposed to do about it? Like, I can't do anything about it, so let me just shut up and move on with my life. I also think a lot of religious people do the same thing. It's like, God will take care of it. I'll just stay in my room, say nothing, and pray about it. I won't actually take any action to change the world or the community that's around me. I won't go to my schools and tell them to stop teaching my kids grooming behavior. I won't go to my school and stop telling them to stop teaching critical race theory and indoctrinating my kids into Marxism and communism. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit here and pray about it because God will take care of it. So I think a lot of people understand is going on. I just think a lot of people don't want to do anything because they don't know what they can do with it, because they are uninformed about their own power that they have to change what's around them. Again, the idea of like Satan, the only reason why I hesitate with this word Satan or the devil, because again, I think it takes accountability off of people. I truly believe that we are given dominion over Satan or over demons or over evil dark entities. I think that has more power because we give it more power. We are the one giving it power. I don't think it has that much power over us because we have dominion over it. And I don't think that people want to control others because Satan is working through them. I think people want to control others because everybody has a shadow self that has the ability to be evil, to be cruel, to be manipulative, to be narcissistic, to be self-centered, to be selfish. Those are just negative things that we all have and we all possess. But because someone is more evolved or more well-rounded, or for whatever reason, some people choose to use that for good and some people choose to use that for bad. Again, I don't think the devil is like controlling, sticking his hand up people's assholes and using them as evil puppets. I think people do evil because they just do evil. I think they can be influenced. I think the devil or dark entities, demons, whatever you want to call it, can send you influence. You still have full control and you still have full dominion. So it's really up to you to allow it to control you or not. I don't give a fuck about the devil because I have more power than the devil. I have more control than the devil. I have dominion over the fucking devil. So to me, that doesn't scream evil to me. People scream evil. Things people do are evil. You know what I mean? They allowed whatever darkness in their heart, in their mind, in their souls, or whatever influence around them, they allow that to affect them and to influence them and to do evil things. I personally think that human beings are fucking marvelous, like designs. Like we are fucking amazing. And you have so much more power to influence your own life than you really think you are. And I think that people are disempowered by society and the social groups that they're in. It's gonna sound a little bit left field, but take the idea of placebo effect. A lot of people laugh at placebo effect. You know what placebo effect actually mean? There are studies out there about people who are bedridden in pain for years, unable to get out of bed, unable to walk. They were given a placebo, got out of bed, not only walked, but ran, pain-free. And again, it wasn't because they were cured, they believed that they were cured. You know what that means? That means because they believed, it literally affected how their body operated and they can get out of bed and run and walk without pain. From being bedridden for years and years and years, because you believed it so strongly in your mind, you were able to get out of bed, run and walk without pain because you believed it to be so. There are women who go through these phantom pregnancies where they believe so badly that they're pregnant that their body will actually go through the freaking pregnancy when they're not even pregnant because they believed it so strongly their body actually just complied. People's minds, people's consciousness, subconsciousness, our words have power. Like you are more powerful than you think you are. That's not taken away from God, because God created you. God created you with all the tools and all the abilities, but I think so many people are so disconnected and they feel so powerless. They become reliant and dependent on other sources. Again, even church. People go to church and they become reliant on the pastor. They become reliant on that community. They're not reliant on themselves and the tools that God gave you. So no, I'm not going to give the devil that much fucking power, and I'm not going to give him that much fucking credit, because again, God gave me dominion over the devil. He gave me authority over the devil, and I'm not going to let anybody else off the hook either. You chose to do evil. You chose to allow the influence to take over you, and it's easier said than done, because brainwashing is brainwashing, program is programming, indoctrination is indoctrination. But how do you explain the people who wake up to it and the people that don't? It's not impossible. There's something in you that's allowing yourself to be influenced and allowing yourself to take that and do bad things with it.
And if you have to, recognize the deception. Evil doesn't look like evil. It looks like good. So evil doesn't show up the way you'd expect it to, like devil with horns or a guy wearing a dark hood, blood coming out of his mouth, and has a name tag on that says bad guy. People doing evil might be evil, but they're not stupid. So they know the dumbest way to trick you into doing their evil agenda is to have their evil agenda look like an evil agenda, because then they know you wouldn't do it. Tyrants don't show up saying, hey, we've got an evil agenda we'd like you to comply with. It's gonna be terrible. Now, would you like to participate? Evil always has deception and manipulation as part of it to make the bad thing look like a good thing. For example, this is for your protection, so it's good. Trust us. And if you don't trust us, you're a crazy lunatic racist transphobe. Or it's got coercion laced into the deception as well. You better do this or else. And this is for your protection, okay? One of the dumbest assumptions that mostly people with blue hair make is that evil people are honest. You're being a conspiracy theorist. Klaus Schwab isn't evil. I'm pretty sure he is. So what, with his plan to help humanity by controlling every human on the planet, you think he's just lying? Yes. Making the assumption that evil people would be honest, I think comes from a noble place in people's hearts where they always try to see the best in humanity. It might surprise you, but evil people who are willing to kill men, women, and children are also willing to lie. Surprising, I know. But lying is like the least sinful thing they do. There's a saying, the devil masquerades as an angel of light. That means people with evil agendas will attempt to deceive you by looking like a good guy that's on your side. So expecting evil to show up looking like a helping hand is probably a more accurate expectation than expecting evil to show up looking like evil. I think it's also one of the most powerful things you can do to fight evil. You're recognizing it.
Stopping it there. Okay, everything he said is common sense. Like, you don't have to be like ultra religious to like see any of this. You can just look at history books. Name any totalitarian, authoritarian regime that's taken over a country or a society or culture or system. And you can just follow their footsteps on how they gain that control and see that anything that they're doing that resembles what's going on in America today isn't good. The idea of taking more and more control because of your own safety, it's been used before in the past. You can just read history books, just be aware, just be knowledgeable, and you can see that. It's like someone coming to diddle your kids. They're not gonna show up at your doorstep and be like, hey, I wanna diddle your kids. Can you let me in and touch your child? That is not how they're gonna arrive. They're gonna arrive like they love children, that they're super virtuous, that they're really wholesome and nice, and slowly integrate themselves into your family, and then diddle your kids. Of course, evil is not gonna show up and be like, knock, knock, hello, I'm evil. What? Who believes that? I I'm aware that there are a lot of people who don't think this way. I do know that. I just don't think those people are gonna stumble upon JP's videos, because if they're asleep and they're ignorant and they're unaware and they're blue pilled or whatever you want to call it, they're not finding JP. I get what he's saying, and I agree with everything he's saying. I completely and utterly agree. Even in the Bible, it says the Antichrist is supposed to be someone people love and adore and admire. You can see evil play out in just very logical, simple terms now. Like people who are psychopathic, sociopaths, they're usually quite clever, quite smart, and really good at manipulating people. They're not dumbasses. So you don't, again, have to use necessary religious or biblical ideas or terms to see this. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's quite just common sense. Like, it's pure and utterly common sense. But anyway, let's continue.
Evil controls the ignorant. Now, I believe that many people carrying out evil satanic agendas are doing so while having no clue that they're doing so. It's much like someone who's under mind control by the CIA or the KGB. If you ask them, "Hey, are you being controlled by the KGB?" they would say, "Absolutely not. Are you nuts?" That's because a poor form of controlling anyone is for them to know that you're controlling them, because then they're better equipped to do something about it and free themselves from the control. So that means the best way to control someone is to have them to remain clueless that they're under your control. And it wouldn't surprise me if that's how the devil works. It's like if you sat down with Fauci and asked, "Are you doing the evil work of Satan?" He'd probably say, "No," and put on a mask. Well, I wouldn't put on a mask, but I'd believe him. I don't think he knows. I'm sure he knows he's deceiving people and committing crimes, but I seriously doubt he has any clue how much he's being used to carry out pure evil. Now, that's no excuse for a guy like that, because he's the one allowing it to happen, so still put him behind bars.
Okay, I think JP is being way nicer than I would ever be, because first of all, he said that the reason why people stay ignorant and blind to evil because they want to see the best in people. Yeah, that's some people. That's not a lot of people. I think people are content of just being ignorant. It's easier. It's easier to be ignorant. I dated a guy once that was sort of wobbling between atheism and agnostic, and one day he told me it's just easier to be atheist because I don't have to think about it. A lot of people just take the easy way out. It's not because they think the best of people. It's just like, I don't want to think about it. It makes my life too complicated. I just want to take care of my kids. I just want to pay my bills, and I just want to be as happy as I possibly can be, even if the world is burning down around me. I also think people just assume that the world isn't really that fantastical as we think it is. Like, oh, there's some evil conspiracy of the global elites trying to take over the world. I mean, I believe they are, but there's a lot of people just think that that's all bunk. That's people trying to make boring life more fantastical and complicated than it needs to be. So no, I don't think it's just because people like to see the best of people. And do I think that Dr. Fauci believes he's evil? No. But I think Dr. Fauci, for the lack of the better words, have knowingly danced with the devil. If you know that you are conceiving millions of people and you don't think that's evil, then that's your own moral corruption. I think Dr. Fauci is fully aware what he's done, the evil he's done. What I think a lot of people are Thanos. They have Thanos mentality, where it's like, yes, I might help kill millions of people because of whatever population control, but the ends justify the means. I don't think Thanos thinks killing, half the population or 70% of the population was a good thing. But I think he just felt like it's an evil that needs to be done because the ends justify the means. I think a lot of people have that God-like mentality, but they're aware of what they're doing. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's continue.
Why evildoers try to eliminate knowledge of God from our world. I'd like to share with you the Daily Wire reported on a Gallup poll that shows the belief in God has been dropping. 50 years ago, 98% of all people believe in God. But present-day levels, the poll shows, just 81% of people believe in God. The poll also specifically showed that today, 94% of conservatives believe in God, while just 62% of liberals believe in God.
When all this story about Jesus rising from the dead and being the Son of God, this is fake news.
A passage where you say, looking at the world today, God seems to be making a comeback, but this is a mirage. God is dead. It just takes a while to get rid of the body.
Not hard to imagine why this is so lopsided, as the left is implementing a very wicked agenda. For example, if you believe in God, then you can't really believe that God just mistakenly puts people in the wrong gendered body. So we'll just get you to stop believing in God so that you'll believe that a lot of people are mistakenly born in the wrong gendered body. Let's just destroy a little objective God-based truth. Oh yeah, when we do that, now we can control you. Now hear this, my friend. There's a reason why Satan-controlled people actively want to disconnect you from God. Ah, no, he's not evil. Yuval Noah Harari from the World Economic Forum. He's a good guy. But I'm sure it's the other evil people that want you disconnected from God. That's because, for one, if you're connected to God, you'll be guided by His light, not their darkness. But if you're disconnected from God, you won't be guided by God. Therefore, your obedience is a much easier target for them. It's kind of like if you stop eating healthy food, you're much more likely to be eating junk food. And two, if they get you to go blind to God, then you're also blind to Satan and therefore won't recognize their satanic ways and evil agendas. So getting you to not believe in God makes it easier for them to get you to buy in and participate in their evil agendas that they tell you are for your own good. Make sense?
I do think that the government is trying to kill God and is actively have been successful in some ways. Actually, 81% is higher than I assumed, even though most of them are conservatives or Republicans or traditionalists. I do think that spirituality is definitely making a comeback, but I don't necessarily think it's necessarily like, oh, they want you to not follow God's light, they want you to follow this darkness. I think that because most people who are very aware of human nature, majority of people, it is human nature to believe in something else bigger and more important and higher than you. It's just innate in us. We've evolved that way. So someone who wants to control the masses know this about the human race. So they go, well, I'm going to strip God away from them. So that's no longer the thing that they look towards for comfort, for guidance, for morals, or for values. I'm going to steer them in this direction so I can then dictate, control, and program what their morals, compass, or values, or guidance is. Because no matter how, and I know my atheists are going to hate me, I feel like no matter how atheist you feel like you are going to be religious to something. It may not be God, it may not be a religion, it may not be a theology, but it's going to be something, whether you are pro just humanism or whatever, right? And so I think that it's just innate in humans. Most people, 99.9% of people are going to gravitate to want to reach for something bigger than them. That's why you see this giant influx of fake woke activists, because they want to feel like they're a part of something bigger than them. I feel like that's just human nature, and people who study human nature knows this. It's the same thing in cults. A lot of times in cults, they separate the children from the parent because they want to be your parent. They don't want your parent to no longer have influence over you to say, this is your morals and this is how I'm going to guide you. They want to have influence over you. I feel like saying dark and light is very vague. It's just like, it's human nature, and it's just 101 programming. Take away this influence and replace it with that influence. Also, the people that are being controlled, I don't like that word controlled. They're being influenced. You are allowing someone to control you. Let's take the idea of the Me Too movement. The reason why I didn't give a lot of these actors sort of like a get out of jail free card, and I'm not talking about people who are actually R'd and assaulted. I am talking about people who just did sexual exchanges for a movie role, for an audition, to get an agent or a manager, to get a music contract, those type of things, or a secretary sleeping with her boss because she wanted to get a raise. The people who use sex to, hold over someone's head as power, they're scumbags. However, the only reason that person has power over you, because you allow them to have power over you. If I tell myself my morals are more important than an acting role or a promotion or getting this job, then my morals will trump the power you're trying to have over me, and I won't give you that power. You're not being controlled. You are allowing that to have control over you. You have dominion over that. You have authority over that. You have power over that, and so do anybody who's doing evil shit in this world. They're allowing that to happen. And there are just people who are psychopaths, sociopaths, and narcissists. And I'm not talking about people who have sociopathic tendencies or narcissistic tendencies. I'm talking about full-blown sociopaths, full-blown psychopaths, and full-blown narcissists who are going to be attracted to that regardless, because it's just their personality type. Something went wrong in their fucking fetal development. Speaking of fetal development as well, I don't think God puts people in the wrong body, but I do think that something goes wrong in the fetal development. There's some sort of glitch, there's some sort of hiccup. For some reason, that fetus is just develops wrong. Because if you believe that no, there's no such thing as a transgender, then did God make babies be born disformed? Did God make babies be born blind and deaf? Did God make babies be born with autism or have severe mental handicaps or physical handicaps? Do you think God did that to people, or do you just think that there was a natural hiccup in the fetal development that the baby came out that way, and now God can help you make the best of it? But I don't think God makes anybody anything. I think that you put the soul there, and however the fetus develop is however the fetus develop. For whatever reason there's a hiccup in the fetal development, whether it's DNA, genetics, environment, where someone's eating, drinking the food, pollution, chemicals, I don't know. But do I think there's a hiccup in fetal development that make people be born having a belief that they're in the wrong body? Yes. I also think it's the extreme minority who are born that way, and even in that minority, only a minority will be fixed or helped with transitioning or transition surgery. Let's continue.
The evil sometimes looks insurmountable. I want to be honest with you. Sometimes when I look at the evil in the world and the power it has and the resources it has, sometimes I get forgetful for a few minutes and start to think like, man, maybe good can't overcome this. They have trillions of dollars and they control the media, they control big tech, they even control a lot of our government. We can't compete with that. But then I remember, they have all that, but we have God on our side. Evil has a lot of things you can measure in the material realm, but we have God. Cool. That kind of makes me sorry for the evil people, because they've got nothing compared to what we have.
This idea that God is on our side, I love that. It sounds really good, foo-foo and all that stuff. However, what does that mean? God is on your side, great. What are you going to do about it? I don't think God on your side means sit on your ass and do nothing. Take no actions, don't be accountable, don't be responsible, don't be self-sufficient, don't clean your own room, take care of your own family and your community, or speak out when you see evil being done. I think that God, again, gave you all the wisdom and all the tools and all the insights and all the abilities and all the discernment and all the strength to take action in your life and in the communities around you. I just feel like sometimes religious people go, well, God will take care of it. God's on our side, so he'll win. And then they sit on their ass and do nothing. So I like it. It sounds great. And I agree with them. But what does that mean? Anyway, let's continue.
Freedom wins in what you can do. Here's what I believe you and I and anyone can do to disempower evil and empower good. Know your principles and values and stand for them. Give me liberty or give me death. That's a principled statement. People who don't stand for anything will fall for anything, but people who know what they stand for will fall for nothing. So know your principles and values and compromise them for absolutely no one. Honor your heart and gut feelings, always. I think your heart and gut feelings are God directly communicating with you through your physiology. Don't see your friends and families and take this super untested injection. It's for your protection. That doesn't quite feel right, does it? When evil shows up masquerading as the angel of light, something will feel off in your heart or gut. Honor that, even though most of the time it'll feel more uncomfortable to do so. Now, some people actually do know what they stand for and they know what their heart's telling them, but they lack the courage of the warrior spirit to stay true to themselves. But luckily, you and I get to learn from this mistake. So have the courage of the warrior spirit, because the times we're living in call for it.
Okay, so yeah, I agree with him. I'm surprised he used gut feeling. because if you don't know JP's history, JP used to be, or I don't know if he still is, quite new spirituality. And so a lot of new spiritual people or new age spiritual people talk about discerning gut, trusting your heart, your intuition, stuff like that. And from my experience in church, saying that is like demonized, because it's like, no, you're not supposed to trust your gut or your heart or your discernment or your whatever. You're supposed to trust God. Do you hear God's voice? If God's voice is not telling you to do that, then that is not of God, because your heart can deceive you. Your gut can be wrong. If you're not aligned properly with the direction of God, then how can you trust in it, right? And so I'm surprised that he used that, because I feel like he's sort of moved and leaned towards more religious sort of fan base or something like that, which a lot of these conservative seemingly conservative YouTubers kind of end up doing, but still in a way talking in a very new age spirituality, using metaphors and stuff like that, which I don't mind. I'm a mix of things, and that's why I feel like my perspective is usually more nuanced than layered. But I do agree with that. Again, this is what I talk about when, like, God gave you the tools, just fucking use them, tap into them, or be aligned with that. It becomes easier the more you practice it. And again, yeah, putting your morals and your values above influence.
Think for yourself. Outsourcing your thinking puts your thinking in the hands of someone else. And typically, good people don't want to inject your mind with their ideas, because that's a violation. But evil people always carry syringes and are eager to inject your mind with their propaganda. They'd even like to mandate it. See the evil. You can't get out of a jail that you don't know you're in. And that means you can't get out of an evil influence that you can't recognize. So learn to see how evil shows up and trust what you're seeing for yourself. Stay aligned. The more you and I can allow our words and actions to stay in impeccable alignment with our heart and our own critical thinking, the more we're allowing ourselves to express the will of God. But letting your words and actions fall out of alignment with what your heart and own critical thinking says means you're not letting the will of God express through you. So unapologetically keep your words and actions impeccably aligned with your heart and critical thinking. That's it. Thank you for going on this journey with me about how and why I changed my mind about evil, and how I think we're living in a time of spiritual warfare between God and Satan. And with the 5 things that I believe you and I can both do to empower good and therefore disempower evil, knowing your principles and values and standing for them, honoring your heart and gut feelings, thinking for yourself, seeing the evil, and staying aligned. Please use any of them that resonate with you, because I think if we both do our part, freedom wins. In fact, I know freedom wins, because remember at the beginning how I said Satan's all about control and God's all about freedom? Well, we know freedom wins because freedom's God's way. What you and I get to do as proactive freedom lovers is accelerate the timeline in which freedom wins. So enjoy pissing on the dreams of tyrants with your liberty. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being on Team Freedom with me.
Okay, so that was a good video. The idea that Satan wants to control, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think that control is a form of evil. I think Satan wants to destroy. I think he wants to destroy and corrupt. So I think unleashing chaotic freedom where it comes to not having any discipline and just indulging in the worst things is a form of freedom to a lot of people, but it's also destructive and it destroys. So I think control is a form of evil. I don't know if that's the end goal for the idea of Satan, whatever that means to you. In some ways, God created Satan. Satan is supposed to be a fallen angel, right? Biblically so. In some ways, I feel like maybe God and Satan works hand in hand to help people, push people through their own spiritual journeys and their own spiritual growth. That's all I have to say. This video is going to be so long. I have to edit it so much. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell to get the notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. If you'd like to support the channel any further, you can donate. My PayPal link is in the description box below and also in the comment section. Of course, it helps me. You don't have to. You just like, comment, and subscribe. And you guys have an amazing day. Bye.